All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome to this week's edition of Fights and Rats. To the left of me is my co-host for tonight, Alec Carr. Obviously, Dustin can't be here, but we give our love and support to him out there, and he'll be back next week, hopefully. So we will start off with before we start off with our headlines, which are not that many, but we're gonna recap UFC 279, which we have a lot of thoughts on what happened there because as many of you guys know, there was a canceled press conference as well as, the weigh-ins as well as obviously the new fights that came out during the week. So before we get into that, we're going to start off with our sponsors real quick. Anybody that has any type of injury, sports injury, just like any back injuries, old age injuries, whatever it is, you gotta hit up some CBD products, and the best ones are at rxhemp.com. You can use our promo code rxhemp-usn and get 10% off your entire order, as well as anybody that is betting on this week's card, because I am, and Dustin is, and probably Ethan as well. So we are going to be using mybookie.ag. Use the promo code USN100 for a 100% sign up bonus up today. Okay, so we're going to start off with one of our only headlines before we review last week's card, which is UFC Africa, according to Dana White, is happening very, very soon, which I am so pumped for. I mean, like, we have a lot of representation from Africa, obviously. Obviously we got the champ, the former champ, and then another champ as well. We're talking about Francis Ngannou, we're talking about Kamaru Usman, and we're talking about Israel Adesanya that are representatives from Africa, and obviously way more fighters there. But obviously, we're gonna talk about those fighters in particular. Alec Carr, I'm gonna bring it up to you. Even though I brought up this topic in the chats, what do you think about UFC Africa? Are you excited for this? What do you think about this idea?
I'm so glad you brought it up because, it is such an amazing opportunity to do this. I imagine they're going to do it in South Africa. I really hope they use this to help educate people that, certain parts of Africa and a lot of parts of Africa are not as advertised and it's not as scary as most people think, especially in South Africa and Johannesburg and Cape Town. I hope they use one of the, the FIFA World Cup was down there a while back, and a lot of those stadiums have just been sitting there unused. So I hope they come in and use one of those stadiums. That would be so cool. I hope they wait until November when I'm out in Cape Town, and it just ends up to be in Cape Town. That would be
there you go.
that would be super convenient for me. But yeah, I actually, like I said, I'm going to South Africa next year. Been doing a lot of research on it, going out to Cape Town. It looks absolutely stunning and beautiful, and I can't wait to be part of that environment. As we are not staying at a resort, we're staying in a local town, because it's not as scary as one would think. So. I'm super excited for this. I really hope the UFC does this the right way and doesn't just use, look at us, we're in Africa, we're a cool company. Please use this the right fucking way. Get your big African fighters on there. We got one who was supposed to fight this week, who is not fighting this week, which I'm very angry about, and Sadiq Youssef. Fucking Giga. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, they let's have a whole Africa card. Let's really lean into it, UFC. Let's educate them. I can't wait for the Road to the Fight stuff that comes out about this, because I think it's just going to be super interesting. And when the UFC goes to new places, it always turns out well. When it was the first thoughts that came to my mind was, Monique, when this was in Paris, when the UFC was in Paris for the first time. The crowd went fucking nuts. They went nuts. Could you imagine that African crowd?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It would be crazy. It would be probably one of the craziest environments we've ever seen at the UFC, especially if it's in an old, I'll call it by its proper name in Africa, and it's an old football stadium. That would be absolutely incredible. Selling out an arena, not just, 20,000, but like 80,000 people. Oh my God, that would be It would be the coolest. It would be the coolest UFC event ever. I hope this comes through. Good job for Dana for even bringing this up. And if Dana's bringing it up, it's like just a matter of time before it's actually announced. So, what are your thoughts about this? Are you as pumped and excited as I am?
I definitely am. I think there's just so much representation from Africa in all the divisions, and I'm just really excited that they're going to do a card there. I mean, I think it's like we already knew it was coming. Like, obviously a lot of the champions were advertising like, oh, make UFC Africa, make UFC Africa, and like Dana is now putting this into fruition, which I'm super excited about. I hope it's next year. I hope you get to watch it as well, because that'd be really cool. Didn't know you were going to Cape Town, but now I know, so that's really dope. As well. And I just think that there's just so much, like, a lot of the African, fighters out there are really dominating in their divisions. I think it's just so fitting to have UFC Africa, you know? And I like you said, the crowd in Paris was wild, but the crowd in Africa is just gonna go bananas, and I can't wait for that to happen for sure. And we we have Francis Ngannou, we got Kamaru Usman, we have Israel Adesanya, we have so many more other fighters, Sadiq Yusuf. There's so many other fighters that are from Africa that are gonna benefit from this, and they're gonna be the stars of that show. So hopefully this happens next year.
Do you remember how crazy the World Cup was in Africa?
Yeah, that was lit. Yeah, that was
it
lit.
was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I hope it I'm really pulling for it. I really hope it happens.
For sure. Let's go. Speaking of African fighters, which we only had, I think only one that was a Canadian fighter, but he was technically African as well. On the UFC 279 card. Now, lots of thoughts. Let's start off with okay. First of all, I was actually really shocked that Johnny Walker won his fight. I don't know about you, but I was very shocked about that. I thought Iron Kutaliba was going to take it. I was really, really surprised that there was a submission that happened, and it was from Johnny Walker, just because Johnny Walker, hasn't been the sharpest fighter, lately. So that was really surprising to me. Alikar, did you have any thoughts about that fight, or did you not really care about it?
I mean, I was a little shocked that it ended in submission, but Ian Cutelaba, I mean, Johnny Walker's athletic enough to beat him. Ian Cutelaba, his biggest downfall is he's a lot like Johnny Walker in that he's a supreme athlete with no fight IQ. It's just Johnny Walker's a bigger, more athletic version of Ion Cutelaba. So I was shocked that it was a rear naked chokehold. Again, I've said this many times, and I really hope he thinks about doing it. Johnny Walker, please move up to heavyweight, man. You're fucking huge. It would be more fun to watch you fight in heavyweight. You'll probably lose once you get close to the top 5, but I mean that he just doesn't belong. The fact that he can't touch any of these guys. The thing that he would have going for him in heavyweight is he's way faster than everybody not named Cyril Gane.
Yeah.
So like that would be a huge benefit for him. I'm pleading him and Paradigm as he is represented by Paradigm. Paradigm, please recommend he moves up to heavyweight so he can make more money and be more entertaining.
For sure. I mean, like, the girls' match against Irene Aldana versus Macy Chiasson, that didn't really surprise me too much, to be honest with you, just because I had money on Irene Aldana, and I thought she was the better fighter, but that was really impressive by her, obviously. But what are you going to say, Alikar?
We gotta stop and talk about that kick, though.
No, I
that
know,
up
right?
kick to the liver. Oh my god! Talk about a liver shot. For those people who don't know, because I know there's a lot of people who watch this show who are just learning, when you get hit in the liver like that, your entire fucking body shuts down, and it is incredibly hard to hit somebody that clean in the liver, let alone on an up kick. So,
Yeah.
So Irene Aldana, I got to clap for you for a second. That was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I knew she had it in her to like pull a move like that, because I always thought that she was an amazing fighter, and I still think she is. It's just that I didn't think it's gonna be like that against someone like Macy, but it was, and I'm glad that it happened because she's my girl, Alina Aldana. But not surprised that she won. I definitely thought that she won. Now, one fight that surprised a lot of people in terms of the result of that fight was Leech versus D-Rod. Anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about is Li Jingliang versus Daniel Rodriguez. Now, that was one of the fights that got twisted around because Li Jingliang was supposed to fight Tony Ferguson and D-Rod was supposed to fight Kevin Holland. So, get that straight, everybody. That was one of the fights that got turned around because of the whole Khamzat Chimaev weight cut issue, which we're gonna talk about a little bit later, obviously. But here's my thing. I thought Leech won that fight. I thought he won 2 rounds. The first 2 rounds. The third round, not so much. He was a little tired. I can see that. And D-Rod did his thing. But I don't know about you, Alcar. Did you think he got robbed? Because a lot of people think he got robbed from that fight.
Yeah. It was a really close fight. It was. You look at the significant strikes. Looking at stats afterwards is not always the best way to determine how a fight should have been scored. But if we look at it, in a grand scheme of things, Daniel Rodriguez landed more shots at a higher percent, threw more shots, landed more shots at a higher percentage than Lee. That being said, define a significant shot, right? Define a significant strike. That's been the biggest issue in the UFC and in all of combat sports. What's significant? What does that mean? And every judge has a different opinion. I'm not as outraged as some people are. I think Lee won. I think he did enough to win that fight. I also got to give Lee credit for all the things that he did leading up to the fight, and for him to accept this. And then Daniel Rodriguez, way overweight.
Yeah.
That's an absolute warrior. The fact that the UFC took him out of the top 15 is a little bit disgusting. They just did that today as the rankings were released today, the new rankings. He should be at least 15th. He shouldn't have gotten kicked out of the top 15 in the 180. In the division, it's just dumb. This fight shouldn't have counted against him because of all the circumstances. Now, if this was a scheduled fight, I'd understand, but the circumstances behind the fight should not count. It counts towards his record, but it should not count for him not being ranked anymore. It's a little fucking absurd. But yeah, I had it scored for Lee. I thought you were right. I think he won 2 rounds to 1, but a lot of judges is what have you done for me lately, and that last round was definitely D-Rod. So, and the rest of it was too close.
Yeah.
So, this is where it gets to somebody like Lee, who's not, that he's got to get more well-rounded if he wants to compete at a very high level. Yeah, he shot 1 takedown and got it, but it doesn't matter. He's got to get better at ground game, because if he had a takedown in that last round, he probably – if he had a takedown near the end of that last round, he's probably winning. If he had 2 more takedowns in that fight, he's probably winning. So, yeah, it's one of those weird ones, but I'm not as outraged as everybody else.
Yeah, I think I'm a little outraged because, number 1, I had money on him, so obviously that's personal. Number 2, it is personal because he is from my country of China, obviously, so that's one of the reasons why it was personal for me. Number 3, I just thought that the judges, I don't know how they see this, because I get the third round was definitely D-Rod, but the first 2 rounds, you can't neglect the first 2 rounds and what happened there. It's just, you can't do that, And I don't know. That fight, like you said, everybody that knows Li Jingliang, did you guys know, and you guys, all who watched the presser or who tried to watch the presser knew that Li Jingliang bought himself a really nice suit to freaking wear to the presser, and he couldn't wear it for like 2 seconds or whatever because he literally,
It wasn't just that. He bought a really nice suit to unveil that he can speak fluent English now.
Oh,
That's what was really. Yeah, the whole story behind it was super sad. He was so proud of himself that he could fluently speak English and wanted to wear a nice suit while he did it. And then the UFC got involved, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah, obviously we're going to talk about that in a second, but yeah, that was just really unfortunate as well. I thought he won the fight. D-Rod is a really great fighter as well. Nothing to take away from him. It's just that I thought that Lee did more in the first 2 rounds to win the fight, but it is what it is. And now we're gonna go into what we call the controversy of UFC 279. Now it all kind of started when Khamzat Chimaev missed weight by not only 1 pound, he missed weight by 7.5 pounds, and that's a no-no in our chat and in the Fights Unwrapped family. We do not like people that miss weight. We do not like people that miss weight by that much. That's for sure. Now, here's my thing, Alikar. He's starting to piss me off. I love his fight style. I love the fact that he's a monster in the octagon. Everybody knows he's a crazy fighter in the octagon, but just his mannerisms, the way he talks, the way that he said that Kevin Holland was the help, that was like something that didn't like flow right to me. Another thing is that him missing weight by 7.5 pounds now. According to him, he said that the doctors told him to stop cutting weight because it was just too unhealthy for him. And there was some rumor that he had an injury or a cut, according to Dana White, which I don't know why that would matter too much in terms of the weight cut, but it is what it is. I gotta get your thoughts on this. Obviously, Khamzat Chimaev ended up facing Kevin Holland. He ended up putting Kevin Holland in a really nice Darce choke, and it was entertaining to watch. I put money on Kevin Holland just because I thought that it'd be fun to put, because the odds were so good. But I knew that Khamzat Chimaev was probably gonna win that fight. And it was just, this fight was a long time coming. Like I said, Khamzat Chimaev made some really bad comments against Kevin Holland, saying he was the help and things like that. So it wasn't really surprising for me. But what do you think about this whole situation?
Yeah, let me break down this manufactured situation by the UFC right here. I wish Justin was here so he could yell at me. I'm not. Before I get into my theory, everybody should know that it is a theory, and it's fun to think about things this way. So that's why I'm choosing to do it. And one, everybody knows who watches the show, like to consider myself, I'm a self-proclaimed business expert, right? And business-wise, this fight, Kevin Holland versus Khamzat Chimaev, made sense. It made more sense than Diaz versus Tony Ferguson. So before I even get into that, I just want to break down the whole situation. So there's a scrum, a scuffle, whatever the fuck you want to call it, before the press conference. And from what we've seen that ESPN used on its promo video, by the way, it's literal promo video. That's how the video was released, because ESPN made a promo cut with it. It wasn't released through cell phones. It was not released through leaks of media. It was not released through TMZ. It was released through ESPN cutting it up and putting it on a promo video. That almost never fucking happens. It's usually leaked by somebody else, or somebody posted it on Instagram that was there to watch it, and then they'll use it and cut it up. But this was the ESPN released this video by cutting it up into a 30-second clip for the goddamn promo for the goddamn UFC 279.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, some people would say that's separate. I think it's all involved. I think there was a little scuffle or scrum. From what we've seen, there's been 10 times worse in the UFC. 10 times worse. I mean, we saw a guy in a scuffle that fucking almost broke his neck before in a presser. So we've seen Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor throwing water bottles at each other. Like we've seen way worse than what we saw in that video. And they canceled the press conference because it was for everybody's safety.
Mhm.
Bullshit. Fucking bullshit. I'm sorry. It's bullshit. It just is. From what we've seen, Khamzat Chimaev, Kevin Holland came in, was running his mouth. Khamzat didn't like it. He kicked him away. And that was basically the end of it, besides screaming at each other and Nate Diaz getting involved. That was it. That was all we saw. Hopefully there's more video that comes out, but I doubt it. I don't think it was that much.
Mhm.
Kevin Holland, I want to touch on this real quick. Kevin Holland said some pretty fucked up things to Khamzat Chimaev. Called him a terrorist. A war criminal. Said his wife was a fat motherfucking slut. Said his kid that he was gonna kill his like. Kevin Holland has some fault in this. He definitely said some fucked up shit to Khamzat Chimaev. By the way, when Khamzat Chimaev was with like one other fucking guy. So I think the scuffle actually happened. But I think Dana White saw an opportunity, right? Dana White, the excellent businessman, the guy who tracks PPV numbers better than any other fucking company than we know out there, was looking at this, saw this scuffle happen, saw that PPV numbers were at an all-time low leading up into the fight, and made a goddamn audible. He made an audible. He canceled his business mind clicked and said, perfect, I have an opportunity to change this up. Because Nate Diaz versus Khamzat Chimaev, no one fucking cared about it. We talked about in the chats how we weren't buying the fight as diehard fight fans. We would not purchase this fight card because it's a joke. And that's what all fight fans thought, and casuals don't care about Nate Diaz anymore. They don't. He's old news. Good job. Nate Diaz is old news, which we'll talk about next fight. But this was absolutely everything. Yes, it's all a theory. I have no proof, but everything added up to Dana White being able to make an audible right before the card started. Unprecedented. Never happened before. Oh, shit, we can mark the shit out of that. Let's get UFC to cut up the video of the scuffle. Let's get them to cut it up, and they'll put a little promo. Kevin Holland versus Khamzat Chimaev should have been the fight for originally. It's more entertaining. It's more fun to watch. And it's way, way more fun shit-talking before the fight actually starts. Now, that being said, getting to the fight, if anyone thought, I know you bet on Kevin Holland, and I know you. You bet on Kevin Holland because you thought it would be really cool to see Kevin Holland knock out Khamzat. But I also know you, Monique. You never for 1 second thought Kevin Holland was going to win that fucking fight. And Khamzat Chimaev, listen, people talking about the whole fucking glove tap thing. That happens all the time in the UFC. You got a fighter goes for a glove tap, the other fighter's not paying attention. Also, you're going to talk that much. You're going to be Kevin Holland and talk that much shit before the fight and then act as friends in the fight? Come on, man. To a Russian, to a Chechenian, they don't play that game. They don't fuck around and play that game. Ask Khabib how he drop-kicked Dylan Danis outside the octagon about playing that game. That game does not get played with Russians. They'll fuck you up. So for him to go for a second glove tap, by the way, was just stupid. He knew it was like, oh, please be my friend. Don't beat me up too hard. Kevin Holland knew he was going to lose. We all saw the post-fight presser. He pretty much just was like, I never asked for the fight. Never wanted the fight with Khamzat Chimaev. He's a really good fighter. He's definitely one of the best fighters in the UFC right now. And just basically was like defeated because he knew he didn't stand a chance. Khamzat Chimaev, I'm excited. He is the new supervillain of the UFC. He is exactly what the UFC needs business-wise. I am so pumped to see him versus Colby or him versus somebody in the middleweight division. It is going to fucking blow up. We're going to see – I'm going to throw this out there, Monique. We're going to see fucking Conor numbers the next Khamzat Chimaev fight in PPV buys. We're going to see them, especially if Dana just goes, fuck it, Khamzat gets a title shot at 170. We're going to see crazy fucking numbers lead into it. And it's just, say what you want about Khamzat. I don't care if you like him or not. I personally still like him. I think he's one of the greatest fighters on the roster right now. Like him or not, he is good for the UFC going forward. He is very good for the UFC going forward.
Okay, I have a question for you because there are rumors, according to Khamzat Chimaev's manager, that said that his next fight will be at 185 because he is talking about doing both divisions. So he needs to pick one. According to his manager, his next fight will be at 185. I'm guessing because of the weight cut and whatever happened.
Well, his manager said his next fight probably will be at 185.
Right.
We'll see what happens. I don't really want to make a comment off that because that's a manager, making a decision based off of a question that was asked immediately after a fight, who wasn't even in the country for it. So Khamzat should probably look at getting new management. If you're that big of a star and your manager's not even in the country for your fight, that's a problem, and that's another topic we've talked about a million times of not having real management in the UFC. Listen, if he fights at 185, cool. He's gonna destroy the 185 division. He'll destroy. There's nobody else. There's nobody like him in either the welterweight or the middleweight divisions right now. I mean, you put him in either one, he's gonna. We've seen how big he fucking is. He reproved that to everyone. And the people saying that he can't take Paulo Costa, the Costa fans, Costa sucks. I'm sorry, Monique. I hope I'm not breaking any news here. Costa is not good. He's not a good fighter. He gets destroyed when he gets taken down, and all you have to do is hit him really hard once, and he quits. He's a quitter. He's a big quitter. And Khamzat Chimaev would fucking ragdoll him around the entire octagon.
For sure. All right, we gotta move on to the main event that happened, which is the new main event that happened. Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson. Now, here's my thing. I bet on Nate Diaz, so I want some money. So I was very happy about the outcome of this fight. Now, Tony said that originally he said you guys are gonna see the old Tony Ferguson. Now, I just saw him expose his back too many times. That's what I saw. I didn't see the old Tony Ferguson. I just saw someone that was exposing his back too many times, and it was just very dangerous of a game to play. His freaking corner was saying, "Don't fucking expose your back that much," and he did. Like, literally every single time he had to move, he decided, like, "Oh, I'm going to throw the spinning elbow." Never did, obviously, and then exposed his back. I wasn't surprised at the outcome of it. I could see Nate Diaz being smart, getting him in that guillotine. It was funny. It was, a lot of people didn't know this, but when he got him in that guillotine, the clock said 2:09, and that's the Stockton, area code. So a lot of people thought that was really funny. Thought that was really cool. And then, like, Nate Diaz was looking at the time too. He did the whole fist thing, and he won. So, I actually, you know what? Even though the whole card got flipped upside down, I actually didn't mind the whole main event, even though it wasn't everybody's favorite, but it was better than the whole Chimaev versus Nate Diaz main event. I'll say that. Now, Alec Carr, I'm going to move it on to you because obviously this was a new main event. This was not what was advertised. What did you think of it? What did you think of the fight? Share your thoughts with us.
The fight was a fucking joke.
Yeah.
It was a fucking joke. I'm sorry. It was funny at first, but it was a joke. Nate Diaz, go somewhere else. Go do your own thing. Go start real fighting. Fucking whatever the fuck that means. He keeps saying that UFC fighters aren't real fighters anymore, which just means he can't keep up with the times, like most fighters from his era are struggling with. Let's just all be thankful that the Khamzat Chimaev fight versus Diaz didn't happen. Again, it doesn't support any of my theory, but it goes towards it. Hazmat would have fucking destroyed that version of Nate Diaz. Are you kidding me? He was tired after the first round, Monique. When was the last time we saw Nate Diaz tired after the first round? The guy has a gas tank that can last forever in his prime.
Yeah.
He doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care anymore. And the UFC did him a favor because Hazmat would have hurt him really badly. Hurt him. And Tony Ferguson, this fight, anyway, stop talking about Hazmat. This fight was just two old guys who were out of shape, who were playing with each other and just frankly didn't give a shit about putting on a good fight for their fans. If we're being honest, that's what this was. It was Tony throwing crazy fucking elbows, trying to be the old Tony and score a crazy unorthodox shot, a strike that came out of nowhere and exposing his back. And Nate Diaz could have won the fight at any time he wanted to because Tony Ferguson, over and over again, like you said, exposed his back. And what we mean about that is he kept, for extended periods of time, showing one of the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artists in the UFC, maybe not as of late, but in his prime, was one of the greatest of all time, his back. He could have fucking climbed him and choked him or brought him down and went to work whenever he fucking wanted to, but he didn't want to because he didn't care. This is why casuals don't care about you anymore, Nate Diaz. This is why your fight promotion is going to fail. And I have news for everybody. This is not the last time we've seen Nate Diaz in the UFC. It is not. Everyone should just shut the fuck up about that stuff. Nate Diaz will be back. He is not going anywhere. It's just the latest chronicle of Nate Diaz saying, I hate the UFC, even though they pay me a shit ton of fucking money all the time in my fights, and I'm one of the highest paid fighters on the roster, even though I never fucking fight. That's what this is. Nate Diaz I'm sorry. He keeps talking about Stockton. The Stockton's gone, Nate. You're not Stockton anymore. You're just a complainer. You're a complainer and a whiner, and I would say this to your face. I really would. You're bad for the UFC at this point because all you do is whine about how much money you don't make, and then you bank like $2.5 million with when all said is done in a fight you hardly even fucking did anything in. So shut the fuck up and go back to your house in Stockton and go learn how to be from the hood again. Oh, and by the way, I didn't mention this before, Nate Diaz and Kevin Holland, you guys need, and this goes to all athletes from the hood in the United States, stop calling out Eastern European guys not from the hood. They are from a different kind of hood. They don't have gangs. They don't have, shootings at night. They have fucking genocides. They have war criminals. They have dictators. You have no fucking idea of what you're dealing with there. Stop it. All pro athletes, stop acting like you're harder than the guys from Eastern Europe just because you don't know any better. Because you're not. The ones that keep calling out Nikola Jokic in the NBA, you have no fucking deal what that guy went through. So it's just another pet peeve of mine that Nate Diaz, shut the fuck up. If you want to be the guy from Stockton, go back to Stockton, hang out with your homies from Stockton, and learn how to be hood again. Stop fucking bitching about being one of the highest paid athletes on a roster and not fucking fighting. Sorry, I'm done.
It's all good.
Two rants, Monique.
Right, that's 2 rants for this week. Wish Dustin was here just to hear about those rants and to obviously respond. All right, we are done with our so-and-so headlines for this week. We are going to review the UFC Vegas 60 preview of the main card. Now, before we do that, obviously, Alec Carr, you always do a shout-out from the prelims. Do you have any shout-outs for the prelims in this one?
I guess Anthony Hernandez. Pat Sabatini's also on the prelims. Aspen Ladd is the one to pay attention to. Hopefully she can get back on track. And This card's just upsetting because of what happened to the co-main.
Yeah, if anyone does not know what we're talking about, Giga Chikase had to pull out of his main card event. Let's see. Oh, Anthony Conover, which is we call him Connie from our sports network, just commented there. So there you go. Alec, give me a shout out confirm. That's funny. There you go.
Yeah, Connie talked out those fights yesterday. I was watching the show. He did a great job. So shout out to you, Connie. You're learning about the UFC real quick, man.
He's doing well. All right. So because we had 2 canceled fights on the freaking main card. The first one was Giga Chikadze versus Sadiq Yusuf. The other one was Marna Morozov versus Shahara Eubanks. That was another one that was canceled, unfortunately. We only have 4 fights in this main card, which is probably going to be like, oh, that's so sweet. I know, right? It's all one love in the Unwrap family. So shout out to Unwrap Sports on Twitter as well. That's what brings me, Alec, Dustin together as well as everybody else in the sports network. So please give a shout out to us. Give us a follow on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch as well. So all right. So we're gonna go into the first fight, which I don't really care about, even though I like heavyweights, but I don't care about this fight. It's a heavyweight bout between Tanner Boser versus Rodrigo Ferreira. Now, I'm excited in terms of I like Rodrigo Ferreira personally. He is amazing. He only has 1 loss. I'm a big fan of him. Now, but I don't really care about this fight because I just feel like it's Tanner Boser and he doesn't give the most exciting fights. Yeah, no worries, Alec Carr. So we are going to talk about my take on this. I think Rodrigo gets it done. I think personally oh, it's Bean! Hi, Bean!
Yeah, it's our old mascot.
Hi, Bean! You're so cute. Oh my goodness. I just want to pet it. Okay. Let's go. Alec Carr, what do you think about this heavyweight matchup? I think Rodrigo might get it done because I don't like Tanner Boser and I think he puts on boring fights. So, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think Rodrigo gets this done pretty easily. He's a better fighter. Tanner Boser is just, he's a guy that if he can't get it done in the first round, he's usually losing.
Right.
And Rodrigo can go a little bit longer. The whole thing with this fight is 2 guys that are never going to contend. Why is this on the main card? Why was this ever going to be on the main card? It's just a joke.
I guess maybe because a lot of people like heavyweight fights. Like, I feel like that they're trying to cater to a crowd right here, and I feel like a lot of fans, especially American fans, for some reason like the heavyweight division. So that's probably why.
But there's so many other guys to put on the main card. You got Sergey Spivak. I guess Tanner Boser is he even in the rankings anymore for heavyweights?
I have no idea.
No, I don't see him. But it's just a weird. It's weird. I don't like it. It's stupid. You got 2 unranked guys on the main card. That should never happen.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on to the featherweight bout between Andre Touchy-Feely, which I hate saying that name because it's kind of creepy, versus Bill Algeo. All right. Here's my thing. Andre Touchy-Feely, for me, he pulls out the win when you least expect it. That's what I think of him. When I think of the fights that I betted against him, he always wins. So, and Bill Algeo, I like Bill Algeo. I think he's incredible. I think he's a technician, but, he can be kind of slow in the beginning at times. But he knows what he's doing, so we'll see what happens. I don't really know who's going to win this fight. I don't know why. I'm leaning towards Feely just because I am, again, for some reason, every time he's proven me wrong, every single time I betted against him. Alec Carr, who do you think is going to win this fight?
Oh, I gotta go with my boy Senior Perfecto from King of Prussia. Quick shout out to the local guy. Bill Algeo is from right down the street from me, quite literally. I don't know if anybody remembers the last time we saw Senior Perfecto out. when he absolutely annihilated who was supposed to be the next up and comer in Herbert Burns. Um, like literally just beat the shit out of him to the point where Herbert Burns gave up in the second round. So, so like for those who don't know who Bill Algeo is, he is I'm gonna say he's a little underrated. He's a very good fighter. And I'm excited. I'm always excited to watch him fight as he's a local guy. I think he gets this done. Andre Touchy-Feely, the one thing he has against Bill is that he's way faster in his striking. The thing he doesn't have against Algeo is that Algeo is just better at everything else. So I got Algeo winning this. I have no idea how it happens. It's probably going to be unanimous decision, as Algeo most fights are, as he is a kickboxer. So we'll see.
We'll see. That's right. Okay, moving on to the co-main event. Like I said, there's only 4 fights so far in this main card. Probably gonna move up a prelim, hopefully in the main card. But it's a middleweight bout between Chidi. I can't pronounce his last name.
Oh wait, you're freaking! They did move one up. It's Alan Amadovsky versus Joseph Pfeiffer.
Okay, I didn't see that. It's not on my. It's not updated on Google for some reason. Freaking Google. But yeah.
Well, it looks like they might have. Alan Amadovsky is. It might they might have got moved up. It's moved up on Tapology, which doesn't necessarily mean it is. But he was really good in Bellator. Was supposed to be good in the UFC, but hasn't done much. And then you got 24-year-old Joseph Pfeiffer, who is an absolute monster when it comes to striking.
Yeah.
So for me, I gotta go. I'm gonna go with Joseph Pfeiffer if it's moved up.
Yeah, if it's moved up, we'll see. But we're gonna move on to the co-main event just because I'm not sure what is happening in this card, in terms of officiality. But basically, it's a middleweight bout between Chiki no Kunyani, I can't pronounce his last name, versus Gregory Rodriguez. And usually, speaking of like African fighters, that's one right there that could be on that card. I like him. I like Gregory better, to be honest with you. I'm probably gonna pick Gregory. I know, surprisingly, but I actually do like him better. I like Chidi as well, but at the same time, I don't know. It's hard for me to pick at this fight, but I think I'm gonna side with Gregory, and we'll see what happens in this fight. Ali Carr, who do you think's gonna win this fight?
I got Chidi all the way. You know, I was an early adopter of him when the UFC was able to steal him from Bellator and LFA, and PFL was putting bids on him when his contract ran out, and he was in the Contender Series. Gregory Rodriguez, though, he's so boring.
I know, but I think he might win.
Don't get me wrong. His fights are not boring. When I say he's boring, I mean he is a robot. I think he is actually a robot. He is not a human being. He has no idea what social cues are or how to like take on questions. We saw that when he absolutely annihilated Julian Marquez, which was a shock to all of us. I am going to go with Chidi, though, because the one thing Gregory Rodriguez doesn't have is precision striking. Chidi will pick you the fuck apart, and you'll be hit with four fucking shots before you can even throw one. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage, which people don't realize because they're the same height. Chidi's just one of those guys who was born to fight with a very long reach. I got to go with Chidi. I think, and people really underestimate his clinch game. I'm not saying his ground game, his clinch game. When he's up against the fence, he can throw off those elbows and those knees. I mean, from what we've seen, I'm not saying I would never say he's John Jones. I would never compare his clinch game to John Jones because we all know that clinch game is fucking terrifying. But the way he can do it, the way he can throw those elbows and those knees from seemingly nowhere is something we haven't seen. You only see that in like Israel Adesanya, John Jones, and a few other guys. It's a different kind of striking. So I think Gregory has his hands full. I would not be shocked if Chidi lost this fight, but I'm gonna go with Chidi.
All right, and finally, our beautiful main event, which I'm so excited about. We got Corey Sandhagen, which is a bantamweight belt, versus Song Yadong. That's because I like saying it like that. Okay, so only if Dustin was here would you guys have a freaking brawl between you two verbally about this main event, because Corey Sandhagen is your boy, and then Song Yadong is Dustin's boy. But Dustin's not here, unfortunately, today, so we can't really go about it. I think I'm going to side with you because I like Corey Sandhagen. I like Song Yadong too, don't get me wrong. I like Song Yadong too. It's just that I think Corey Sandhagen is technically the better fighter, in my opinion. Song Yadong has a lot of potential, in my opinion, but I just don't think that he's going to win against someone like Corey Sandhagen. Just because I've seen what Corey Sandhagen can do, and he's fucking scary. So, Alec Carr, I think I know what you're going to say, but who do you think's going to win this fight?
This is a huge fucking jump for Song Yadong.
Yeah.
Huge. He's 24 years old, and he's fighting Corey Sandhagen, the guy that has put up, I don't care what anyone says, Aljamain Sterling's not the champ. Everybody knows my opinion on this. Petr Yan is the champ. He won that fight. He just gave up his back too much in the first round. Otherwise, it would have been a clear-cut victory for Petr Yan. Anyway, Corey Sandhagen put up the best fight against Petr Yan we have ever seen. He simply and easily won the first 3 rounds of that fight. Let me rephrase that. First 2.5 rounds of that fight before, Yan does what Yan does and just took over. Corey Sandhagen beat TJ Dillashaw. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I don't give a fuck what Dustin says. Dustin, I hope all is well with you. I know you're going through some shit right now, but I don't give a fuck about what you say against Sandhagen versus Dillashaw. Sandhagen beat the shit and put Dillashaw into a 12-month suspension, a medical suspension. I don't know. And Sandhagen had no suspension. He literally fought less than 2 months later. So I think we can all agree when we look at the facts of that fight, who fucking won. If somebody's out for almost an entire year and somebody's out for 2 months, I think the guy out for 2 months won, unless it's a submission. I think that's how it works. Corey Sandhagen has been disrespected, underestimated, and not cared about his entire career. Song Yadong, I love him. I really do. I think he's going to create some serious problems. I think he really needs to work on, a more well-rounded game before he really steps up. I think he's going to contend. I think he is. But Corey Sandhagen is just a different breed. And those knees, talk about knees that come out of nowhere. I don't know why I didn't say Corey Sandhagen, Monique. Corey Sandhagen's knees quite literally come out of fucking nowhere. Ask Freddie Edgar.
Yeah.
Ask Petr Yan, who got hit by several of them. Ask TJ Dillashaw, who broke both orbital bones because of knees to the face. Yadong just hasn't seen anything like that. He hasn't seen a kickboxer of that type. And what people don't count for is Corey Sandhagen is so fucking long for this division. Like, literally, just long. He's a long human being for this division. And Yadong, it's going to be something very new for him, something he's not used to. And I think as an unexperienced fighter, not that he doesn't have experience, but as an unexperienced UFC fighter, I think he's really going to struggle against that distance that Sandhagen is so good at keeping people away. I see Sandhagen landing those leg kicks early and often. And then those leg kicks are going to turn to body kicks. and then they're gonna turn into combos, and then we're gonna see some fucking crazy knees come out of nowhere, just like we do in every Sandhagen fight.
All right. So unfortunately, Dustin can't be here, so he can't defend Song Yadong, and we are both on the same page. But the UFC is taking a little bit of a break, and then they'll be back October 1st, which is actually not a bad card because we got Mackenzie Dern versus Yang Xiaonan, which is actually a really interesting fight. I think it's going to be bananas. Cody Garbrandt is coming back on that card versus Rani Yaya. We got Randy Brown. We got Francisco Trinaldo. We got Ryan
can we stop for a second because we do have like a little bit of time. What a gimme fight for Cody Garbrandt, by the way.
I know, right?
not just like stuffing it away. Normally with gimme fights, they try to like put it towards the bottom of the card. This is a fucking co-main.
I know. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so that should be a fun fight. But what's called? Obviously, shout outs to Dustin who can't be here. Hopefully everything is well on his end. Thank you, Ali Carr, again for being my co-host for this week's edition of Fights and Rap. And we will see you guys hopefully in the next few weeks. And then we will get back into fight week and we will be back. Okay? See you guys. Have a happy fight week.